This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on June 29th, 2025. Welcome back to You've Already Been Hacked. This week, we're cutting through some of the noise, and I've got 5 stories for you. From DevOps compliance challenges and AI-powered hospital defenses to international cybercrime crackdown and some military cyber readiness. I'm flying solo again in the seat this week. Cyber Cowboy is off moving his small digital self-representations to elsewhere in the country. So you have me in the sock and no one else. Let's get to it. Our top story this week. Cybersecurity laws are reshaping DevOps. What's happening? Well, governments around the world are tightening cybersecurity regulations, and this is something that the Cowboy and I have talked about a lot, and we both think is well overdue and absolutely necessary. But it's hitting DevOps teams hard. The EU Cyber Resiliency Act, or the CRA, as an example, mandates that all software, especially open source components, must meet strict security standards by 2027. Non-compliance could cost companies up to 2.5 times their annual revenue per infraction. This is not dissimilar to the other EU cyber law that is out on the books. Man, I'm having a hard time remembering off the top of my head, everybody. Put it down in the comments what it is, because you know what I'm thinking of, and I just my brain must have been hacked. I've already lost it. But yeah, this is very standard for the EU. Punitive fines and financial burdens on top of those that can't follow compliance. Is it the right way to go? I don't know. Is it a bad thing? Maybe not. We definitely need to get away from the minimum viable product mindset and get into at least a minimum secure viable product mindset. And if this gets us there, I am all for it. So why does this matter? Well, the U.S., as an example, is enforcing similar standards, but through a completely different method, through the procurement rules, which is super interesting, right? This means that if you're involved in making anything and it touches cyber, in the US at least, depending on the rule, you now have to do something similar to this, which is great. It means that there's no excuse. The wiggle room is being eradicated from securing your software. DevOps teams now need to integrate software bill of materials and secure by design principles from day one, which is incredibly good. My only concern, my asterisk on all of this is going to be your small teams, your single person shops. Are they going to be able to meet and know all the standards? And my gut says no. And that could be problematic because some of the best innovation is happening in the smaller scales than at the larger ones. So that's something that we should take into consideration. And as I just said, open source developers are often unprepared for compliance burdens and are going to have to scramble. My guess is large language models and RAG-infused data sets are going to be the only way that small teams are going to be able to keep up, if at all. This is not just a European issue. As I said, it's a U.S. issue, but it's global. It's India, China, Australia, and the U.K. They are all drafting similar laws. So this is really good that this is a worldwide push towards secure product stacks. This also means that when you have regulations like this, whether they be procurement or specifically cyber related, it's a shift in security, right? You can't bolt security on anymore after the fact. It has to be baked in from that first line of code. That's a good thing. It means that mindset is there from day one, or day zero if you prefer. The companies that get ahead on this are going to really be the ones that dominate the market. And where compliance is a barrier to entry, they will have a leg in, and you'll just be left behind if you're not there. And maybe that's the way it should be. Let's see, what else we got this week? We got cybersecurity education. There are funding gaps and policy issues. So what's going on? And this is U.S. centric, although for this story, but there may be other, this may be global. It just depends on where you are. Public schools are underfunded, well known in the United States. And now that things have progressed, cyber charter schools are standing up And there's debate over whether or not they're taking money that could be going into taxpayer money that could be going into public schools for similar cyber programs. This is it's a hot button-ish type of issue. It's a hot take type of issue, so I'm going to tread lightly on it. I am not going to say that charter schools are good or bad. I think they do serve a niche. I think they do serve a need in the population, and I think in areas where there is more of a challenge to have the that type of education, they probably serve a purpose. Now, you can have an open debate over whether or not the money is being used appropriately and whether or not public schools could use that money better. And that's something for another time and another space, not this podcast. So let's just leave it at that for now, everybody. Um, There are also programs, though, at the federal level, which are definitely moving in the right direction. You have programs like CISA's CETAP and NIST's RAMPS, and both of those are trying to create a cyber literate workforce by funding K through 12 and community-based cybersecurity education. Full supporter of that. This podcast is based on the idea of trying to raise all boats simultaneously. So if CISA and NIST are doing that, and there's money behind it, then I'm all for it, right? Definitely love hearing about that stuff. The FCC is piloting cybersecurity funding through the E-rate program right now, but it's exceptionally limited, so that's a concern. Again, though, pilot, so if the pilot goes well, maybe there will be more funding down the pike. And without a continued investment, whether it be in schooling or in these extra education programs, the digital divide is going to become worse, but it's not just going to be a digital divide, it's going to be a security divide, right? If you're not able to keep up with the knowledge level you need to be able to do the things that are required, yeah, it's going to be a problem. And those that don't have that level of knowledge, I won't say education, but that level of knowledge are going to be left behind. We're teaching kids to use tech, but not how to secure it. Cowboy and I have talked about that a lot in the past, and that is not an individual risk anymore. That is a national risk. That's a global risk. There are two. Just look at your desks while you listen to this, or if you're in your car, think about this for a minute. But please be careful. Look at where you are, and look at how much technology, cyber focused technology is just around you right now. I bet you it's more than you think about on a regular basis. And if it is, think about all the vulnerability that introduces. And then, are you as an individual, do you even know how to secure all of it? My answer would be at best, maybe. And that's why this is a risk, a national risk. Not the knowledge here without it is a risk. And I'll just foot stomp on that on the way out. Next story, AI versus ransomware in healthcare. So hospitals are hemorrhaging money. We know this, that the medical sector is a high target for cyber theft and malicious cyber actors. But how much? Well, current reports say that the average is, well, the maximum, the high, not the average. If it was average, God, it would definitely be more striking. But they could be losing up to $600,000 an hour during ransomware attacks. An example in North America, Alberta Health Systems, one of the largest in North America, health networks, is using AI-powered SIM tools from a company called SecureNix to fight back against malicious cyber attacks. So why does this matter? Well, some stats here that should show you how much these type of tools are already helping, and this is a topic we've covered before on this podcast. AI has reduced AAH's false positive rates by 90% and cut response times by over 30. That's astounding. That is force multiplication at its finest, and that's a good thing. Behavioral analytic detect I'll try that one again, folks. Behavioral analytics detect subtle anomalies like trusted account acting just a little off, right? We talk about this in cybersecurity circles all the time about, knowing the account, knowing the end user, model behavior, all that sort of stuff, and what are the triggers that would set it off. Well, maybe AI is better at seeing those triggers and those rule sets than we are. And maybe that's one thing that can be helpful. It is now, I've said this and it's getting there. AI is now going to be essential for threat detection, investigations, and response. The question we have in cybersecurity circles, and one that we will have to get past, and I think we will, is trust in those environments, and can we trust that that whatever AI we're sprinkling onto things right now, or integrating into things, is actually giving back valid data. And once we can cross that bridge for the majority, we will be, I think that will be a healthy and good place for us to be. Hospitals are a high stakes area for ransomware. They know that this is a place to go to get their money. And AI is not just a buzzword inside of hospitals. It's about patient safety. Ransomware can attack in times and places, especially in critical infrastructure, such as the medical industry, hospitals specifically, that it can literally cost lives. And if you have listened or watched or read stories from now, going way back even to before the pandemic times, the medical sector is hit hard, and hospitals have had to divert patients. Health systems have had to cancel procedures. And I can't remember a story off the top of my head where anybody has lost life of it yet. But the key word on there is yet. And for AHS, AI is definitely not a buzzword. Quote unquote, it is doing 1,000 SOC analyst jobs. I don't care how big you are. I doubt you have 1,000 SOC analysts on staff. And that's astounding. Like I said at the beginning, that's a force multiplier. I'm all for it. Our next story, Nigeria's crackdown on cybercrime. Nigeria's EFCC convicted 14 Chinese nationals for cyber terrorism and internet fraud. The country has also launched a 24-hour cybercrime rapid response desk to handle global reports. That conviction is recent of those 14 Chinese nationals, but over the past year, the FCC has secured 3,455 convictions and recovered over $105 million USD alone. Those are some real numbers that are really important. The only question I have is whether or not those convictions have systemic punishment that will help blunt further activity. I'm going to assume no, because as we've seen in the past, and this is nothing against EFCC or Nigeria, but I'm going to assume no, because we have seen historically that punishment for cybercrime is relatively, all things considered, low, and just seen as cost of doing business for the bad actor. These convictions are not local, right? These convictions take an international effort to go through. So the fact that the EFCC is able to reach out across country lines, work with those different countries, and get these convictions is really a net positive, and everybody should be looking at this as a potential model. The EFCC's Rapid Response Desk is a model for how to engage the public in cyber defense locally. So again, if they're working both with international partners, with locals, with the general population, the question is, why are we not doing a better job of that across the board? And I would hope, and I think part of this is government institutions. There's a trust issue, and people don't want to come forward because of liability. But we have to create environments where we can come forward when there's a problem, so that we can get restitution and remediation as fast as possible. And our last story, just a small piece of a little bit of moving forward. The 11th Cyber Battalion in the U.S. Army has had its change of command. Lieutenant Charles E. Soslitz, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. If I did, please make a comment down below and we'll try to get that right. Has taken command of the 11th Cyber Battalion, replacing Lieutenant Colonel Louis Attini Jr. The unit is pioneering tactical CEMA, or cyberspace electromagnetic activities, in the U.S. Army. So cutting edge stuff. And don't take a change of command as good or bad. It's the summertime. Lots of movement happens in the military in the summer for all sorts of reasons. But one Military is not soulless. It does take family considerations in. It takes all that in. And you know what? Not just for the soldiers that don't have families, soldiers that do have families. Summertime is a time when a lot of mobility ends up happening for all sorts of reasons. So I'm sure this is just par for the course inside of the Army. Let's see. The battalion is shaping how the Army fights in cyber contested environments. Again, good. We need to be able to have our cyber actors, our forces, I won't say blue or red, but our forces, be able to act in cyberspace as they would in any other domain, so that our interests are both projected and protected. So I think that's a good thing. Under Intini, this battalion won the Army Cybercrime Best Squadron competition 2 years running. So high hopes here for the incoming Lieutenant Colonel to keep that going. And they're also engaged in community outreach, teaching cyber skills to high school students. Again, that K through 12 is really important. And I don't care where you are in the stack. If you're able to help out someone from kindergarten through 12th grade and beyond, you should be doing it in some way as best you can. The 11th Battalion is defining what cyber looks like on tomorrow's battlefield. That's a quote from the leadership there. And their work is as much about deterrence as it is about defense, right? If you can stop an actor from doing something simply because they see the power projected, that can be better than having to actually duke it out, whether that be digitally or physically. So all sorts of good things here. Couple other small things for everybody brought up on the podcast before, and if not, for those that are here the first time, there's going to be a little extra done. I think I brought this up on my LinkedIn. I'm going to have my own Professor CyberRisk channel separate from this podcast, although this podcast will continue. That channel will be more dedicated to individual and learning topics, where I will have everything broken out from 100 to 600 level style of learning for everybody, as I can pull that up. We're also getting the websites up to date so that those are more than just placeholders. But, not everything happens in the digital SOC as much as I would like that to be the case. And with that, that's all the news this week. I'm the Professor of CyberRisk, and we'll see you next time. If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.